Welcome to Porch Play Chat, sponsored by the American Association for the Child's Right to Play, or more affectionately called IPA USA. IPA USA is the USA affiliate of the International Play Association, and as part of our efforts to promote play, we've introduced Porch Play Chats. These are conversations with people who are just as passionate about play as we are. I'm Deb Lawrence, and I'm president of IPA USA. And with me on the porch today is Lisa Murphy. Hi, Lisa.
Hello.
And Ellen Cogan is joining us. Ellen's been involved in early childhood from her undergraduate days. She is a presenter at conferences. She teaches child development. She consults to large and small programs. And she is an advocate for young children and their families. Ellen says that what she does is helps adults to help young children, which I think is a beautiful way to describe her work. And her website is Early Child Info, and what's the last part of it? .com?
Yes, .com.
Okay, thank you. For somehow or another it disappeared from my feed. So Porch Play Chats are available every Monday on our Facebook page, our YouTube channel, our Instagram, and now on Spotify. And if you want to find out where they are, there you go to ipausa.org and just be a friend, follow us, do whatever you need to do in those other platforms. And magically, each Monday, a new Porch Play Chat will appear in your feed. And Ellen today is going to talk to us about how does play foster and nurture agency in children. And I think this is such a huge, important topic. So Ellen, I'm so excited you chose to do this one.
Thank you. Agency is really a relatively new concept to me. I always thought about independence, self-concept, social competence, and agency is related to all of them. It's defined as the capacity for individuals to act according to their will. And the other side of it is, of course, people who think their will is above everything else. That's not the kind of agency we're talking about today. Children with a strong sense of agency cannot be bullied. Their problem.
And oftentimes they challenge teachers.
Oh, yes. They're problem solvers and doers, not passive observers. And because they're used to thinking for themselves, they're creative. When children are encouraged to use their agency daily, they feel more satisfaction, they feel supported, they're more likely to encourage others' sense of agency, and they will engage in far fewer challenging behaviors.
100%.
So classrooms where children have agency, are those where children are treated with respect rather than ordered around. It's very hard to develop agency when being told exactly what to do and when and how.
So to me, that's to me. And we're fresh off the TASP conference. So I know Deb and I, our brains are going 1,000 miles a minute. We spent the last week at the Association for the Study of Play conference. And so diving back into this on this fine Wednesday, at first I thought I'd be kind of shop talked out, and I found it's the complete opposite. Like I'm completely fired up. And I'm wondering, let's speak a little bit to, like, we know how important this is. To me, the sticking point is finding adults in an environment who aren't threatened by a child who is showing agency, and or is it the two sides of the same coin, a teacher who is able to facilitate the development of agency without being threatened by that. I think that's a huge piece, especially when we're talking younger children.
It's funny you should say that. I'm developing a separate workshop on nurturing agency within staff, because
Mm.
when I have found over the years when I was directing programs and consulting to specific programs, that when the teachers feel that they have a sense of agency,
Mm.
they are much more likely to encourage children to show a sense of agency. When they feel threatened, when they feel I have to do this by such and such a day,
Mhm.
they're much less likely to be able to foster agency within the children.
Mhm.
This is um, a play organization. And how does play foster agency?
Mhm.
And to me, it's perfect, because
Mhm.
when children are allowed free choice and adults are not breathing down their necks and telling them what to do or what to make or what to build in the blocks or stuff like that. And they are solving problems, they are playing with each other. They're deciding, for example, in the dramatic play area, whatever you want to call it, house, corner, store, or whatever, they're deciding their own roles.
Mhm.
And those roles are flexible. The same person who wants to be the mommy today can be the baby tomorrow,
Mhm.
or even a half an hour later.
Mhm.
And when they make the decisions, they're learning to use agency. And the more we encourage them,
Mhm.
the more they will do it. You were saying something, Lisa. Sorry, I cut you off.
Well, my brain is thinking about, and not that we would want to reduce it to a checklist, but I'm sure, but Deb and you, Ellen, as well, you've done so many observations in classrooms through the years, various age levels. I'm almost wondering if it would be too much of a generalization to say that you could identify certain indicators that if you were walking in blind, you're like, okay, I'm seeing 9 out of the 14 that
Mhm.
I'm already feeling, without even hanging out here, that I'm going to see children able to practice and display levels of agency without it getting into a control battle between the students and the teachers. And just the saying the word choice, that they even have that choice, that they have that freedom to make those decisions, to make, again, choices. To me, it always comes back to that choice. Can I choose where I want to play, how long I want to stay there, who I'm actually doing it with? And I know for some it oversimplifies it, but for me it doesn't. I would imagine that you guys might have some thoughts on that, the choice piece as a indicator that there's going to be agency.
Well, if you think about the positive dispositions, right? Initiative, curiosity, exploration, discovery, choice, repetition. If you think about those positive dispositions versus the negative ones, frustrated, the whole list of them. I mean, there's like 15 that I've discovered that are positive and negative. And when you walk into a classroom, that's what I would use.
Yeah.
Because I can
Yeah.
tell if children are able to develop agency just by how many positive dispositions are present, or unfortunately, how many negative dispositions might be present. And I think that's the simplest way to do it. But I the other thing what I see is that these adults don't have agency, right? So
Well,
they
that's where my brain's going right now. Hold on, I'm so sorry. I want to throw this out there while I capture it while it's fresh. Is that you
uh-huh.
might have a child whose personality is one of agency, but they're in an environment that doesn't, or even the opposite, where you
Mhm.
have a teacher who's really good at facilitating that kind of an environment, but you have a child who, for whatever reason, isn't trusting that they can actually act out on that. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Juicy.
because I mean,
Hit.
just think about what one of the things that's driving me crazy at the moment is adults who aren't advocates for themselves in
Mm.
personal life, professional life, whatever it is. And then you have to just reflect back on what their experiences were. And if they have a director or a leader in the program that says, here's your curriculum, here's your schedule, here's your, whatever. Even if they have agency, they are fearful of pushing back against those controls that are being placed on them. And so somehow or another, and where we lost it is when all the state standards changed and all the teacher certification programs changed, where we took away what's leadership and advocacy and we put it in more with instructional stuff. And so we have, and we also have victims of No Child Left Behind who are now adults who are teaching, who had no agency in their school experience and are now just doing what they've experienced, right? Not developing this. So that's why I think this is such an important topic. What does agency look like in a classroom for children so that adults can begin modifying how they structure their environment or structure that daily routine or structure where children are going to play and how long they're going to play there. And so I think that's why this is such an important one, both in them recognizing that sometimes they may feel powerless in their position, but they can regain that agency by allowing children to have some more freedom.
Okay,
So,
there's two things that come to mind right now.
yes.
One from Lisa,
Uh-huh.
because Lisa always said years back, what do you do when the wolves come to the door?
Yeah.
And to me, I can't tell you how often I quote you, Lisa, because it's such an important concept. If you know the educational concepts that the children are learning, you can hand them back to these wolves and say, this is what they're learning.
They'll get out of my room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other one is a couple of workshops I've done recently on teaching play skills, preventing challenging behaviors. But sometimes when children don't quite have the skills to express the agency, they need a little help. They need specifics on how do you enter play?
Yeah, that's true.
You don't just go over to another kid and smack them because that's how you think they're going to want you to play with them. And so I'm always saying, in every possible context, observe, observe, observe. So what are the problems? If the problems are some kid wants a block and he takes it out of the middle of somebody else's building, you don't look at fixing the behavior, you look at fixing the problem, which is he's not really certain where you get the blocks from. And you help teach a bunch of kids then where you get the blocks and where you put them away. And so when you teach these play skills, they can be more autonomous because they have the skills to join play with other children, to say, I want to turn. Can I come in? I want to play with you. Rather than just
I take off the hat
and getting everybody upset.
Well, and just think about how much more time the teacher has to observe and have conversations and do all the things that teachers want to do, but feel like they can't because it's always teacher, 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 instead of teaching children those conflict resolution skills and giving them those play skills to be able to solve their own problems. And then so for the teacher, they're like, oh my goodness, I don't have to control them all day long. And for the children, they're like, I can solve my own problems. So there's agency, right?
Agency is the antidote to control, control, control.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that is a quote. I love it.
I should put it in my website, right?
You should,
Good.
because we have had golden nuggets today, and that is the
And it's
one
not
golden
even
nugget.
lunchtime.
It's not. Oh my
I
goodness.
I want to go back to you threw an example out, and I want to highlight it because it to some degree circles back to the wolf, but a little bit differently. That if a child takes the block out of the middle of a tower, instead of focusing on the behavior, which is the tower fell over, I love how you're not assuming that the child was wanting to bust the tower. I love that. And that takes some reflection to not react, to reflect on that, and to make perhaps an incorrect assumption, but it's going to allow us to get to a solution. You weren't sure where to get the blocks. You pulled one out of David's tower. Let me show you where the blocks are. I love that. But that's almost to some degree teaching a wolf in the teacher's brain, right? A different way of interpreting what happened, a different way of seeing what happened instead of just jumping to a
And
conclusion.
assuming.
I love that. And I got a name drop, Tamar Jacobson, who lovingly reminds us at every possible moment that every behavior is an attempt at a connection. So
Yes.
I'm trying to enter into your play. I'm not really sure how. So I'm going to grab the hat off your head. I'm going to grab the beans and rice out of the sensory tub. I'm going to grab a block out of your tower. And what a gift for the child when the adult is able to see that as an attempt at a connection and not to be a behavior challenge. I love that.
Well,
I love
on Friday, I did an all day with pyramid model.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And
Which is so important.
so we were talking about the behaviors, and I said, don't think of solving the challenging behaviors before you look. Observe, observe, observe.
True.
And one of my favorite yogiisms is you can observe a lot just by seeing.
Mm-hmm.
True.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
So you look at the thing. If the kid just one time takes the block out from the middle of the building,
Mm-hmm.
you have no clue why, what is going on.
Mm-hmm.
If it's the second or third time he's done it, then you have a clue what's going on here.
Well, it's also cause and effect, and maybe they played Jenga over the weekend, right?
Yeah, right.
It could be
Sometimes a
something.
cigar is just a cigar.
Or maybe he's only taking the block out of Charlie's building.
Huh?
Oh, also good.
Bothered him.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
it could
Again,
be.
you're not going to notice those patterns if you're not paying attention
Observing,
to that observation. How come it's always Charlie? Yeah, that's
so whenever there's a problem, I'm always telling the teachers, don't fix it until you know what the problem is.
Yeah.
actually is.
Right.
I
I
mean,
think we
if
assume so
if
much,
the
right?
building falls on somebody's foot, you first comfort the child whose foot is hurt.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean necessarily that you have to then target or punish or turn that into some big moral monologue for the kid whose tower fell over. And I think that's that knee-jerk reaction.
Mm-hmm.
The more you make a big fuss for the child whose tower fell over,
Mm-hmm.
the more they think, oh, maybe somebody will knock over my tower and then teacher will come and give me a hug.
Mm-hmm.
This is like really opposite.
Mm-hmm.
When I was director of a small nursery school, I went upstairs to ask the teacher some question, and I saw that a child had pushed, a little girl had pushed a bigger kid off the chair. because he wasn't expecting it. So she just shoved him and he fell off. And he's crying and carrying on. And the teacher takes the little girl onto her lap. And she says, I told you you should not be pushing children. So now you have to sit on my lap when we have the story.
Oh boy. Here, I want to sit on your lap.
I
I
freaked
get to push
out.
children to sit on your lap.
So as soon as I got an opportunity to talk to the teacher, I said, what are you teaching?
Mhm,
She
mhm.
said, well, I'm teaching her not to do it. I said, no, you're teaching all of the children in the group.
How to sit on your lap.
You bother somebody, you get to sit on the teacher's lap.
Yeah, yeah.
That is opposite to what you want to teach.
Mhm.
To
And it's so
understand it
interesting
that way.
how they
You
in
know,
their
yeah,
heads they
I
kind
didn't
of
think of
flip.
it that way.
Yeah, they flip the script, right? They have one lens that they're looking through instead of broadening that lens and saying, what is the possibilities of what just occurred, right? What might have been a reason? Because if you ask the children, they'll say, I don't know, right? They don't know. They don't know why they just bit Susie, or they're not going to tell you why they just bit Susie or pushed this child off the chair. So, I do think this concept of helping teachers help children provide opportunities for children to develop agency, but then to also recognize that they can also build agency by letting go a little bit. Oh, your days. I always say to teachers, why do you make your job so hard? Why are you making your job
Exactly.
so hard? It's not hard. It's not as hard as you're making it because you're trying to control 24 little munchkins who outnumber you. It's not,
You
it's
know,
just, it's not your job to do
it
that.
leads me back to one of these chats that we had a while back about opening up art for children to do their own thing.
Mm-hmm,
When they're used to making their own things and not be controlled in what they're making,
mm-hmm,
they're starting to use agency.
mm-hmm,
When they do that in some other area, because they already can do it in art,
mm-hmm.
now I can do it in building, and now I can do it in this other area.
Transferring the skills. Yeah.
They
Yeah.
start transferring the skills. And as teachers allow children to do their own thing, the easiest way to start is with art because
Mm-hmm.
it's a baby step. And they realize they don't have to control everything kids make.
Mm-hmm.
And they have an easier time. And then they can watch and see what are the children doing in the art area. And they can.
And how is the teacher responding? Like if it
Mm-hmm.
was a new kid, they're watching how the teacher's responding, right? What are the rules here? What are the unspoken rules here? So I know how to enter. Because I don't want to go run to the easel and mix the colors and then find out that was not allowed, so I'm going to pick up on the cues, situational awareness.
And then the teachers, of course, have to be very, very careful not to be judgmental.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's not, oh, so pretty.
Oh, yeah.
And, oh, if I make this, it will make the teacher think it's pretty.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's a whole other workshop.
I was going to say that's a whole other porch chat.
Right. So, yeah, we could probably do that for the next one, is what not to say.
Oh, my goodness.
The
Oh,
whole
my
process.
goodness.
The
Yes.
topic that you can constantly come back to and still blow somebody's mind of the
Right.
importance of the process.
So,
But really,
Ellen, if you were to think, what are the, because we're getting ready to have to wrap up, but if you were to tell people, I want you to try 3 things in one a week, one a week, and then add the second one for the second week, and then add the third one for the third week. Where could they start? I mean, you've said start in the art area, stop making them do those stupid products. Art is exploration, creativity, discovery, not I have to make it just like the teachers, right? So what else could they do? So maybe they've been observing and watching what the children are doing in art and being supportive and not asking them what they made all the time or saying, oh, you made a cat when they didn't, right? So what could they do? What could they do second? We're going to let them do their art and we're not going to judge them. We're not going to make them do something. So what could I add to that in my second week that would allow children to develop agency?
In your second week, you look at what they're doing as they do free play around the room and in the outdoors, if you have an outdoor program.
Mm-hmm.
What are they doing during the free play time?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a child who runs around from area to area?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a child who always bothers other kids?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a child who's so involved in what they're doing and that when somebody wants to join them, they say, go away? So look at what they do when they have the opportunity to make choices in play and see if there's anything that you could help them by tweaking a little bit.
Mm-hmm. And what could they do the third week?
Do those tweaks.
Yes.
Do the tweaks.
They
Do
make
the tweak, just observe. That's a great one.
I would keep observing. Because like, and we could unpack that, and I'm going to make a note because I think I would like to come back and unpack this. Are the observations you make during free play, like what you just said, some of the negative or what we would maybe call a negative observation? Somebody pushes, somebody shoves, somebody just flits around. Are those behaviors that are being interpreted as potential negative behaviors due to the fact that free play is only 15 minutes?
Yes.
You see,
You know
that
what
was
I'm
my number 3, Lisa.
Make
Well,
it
that's why I said
bigger.
do the
My
tweaks.
number 3 is to expand the amount of time children have to make choices.
Yay. That's a book. That's a book.
It really is. It really is. Because if you expand the time, so what can you do in 15 minutes besides take all the blocks off the shelf?
One
Besides fit around the room.
that
Yeah.
drives me the craziest is people who limit center time and say, ding, now it's time to move to another center.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Now,
I mean,
how on earth can they expect
anxious.
children to have a decent amount of attention span if you break their attention span whenever you feel like it?
Exactly.
You are doing the opposite to what you want to teach.
And I think it goes back to that.
Engaged.
I think it goes back to that control, right?
Right.
I have planned 4 centers. And for the next hour, you will rotate with the people I tell you to rotate with through each of these centers for 15 minutes. And again, I always say, what can they do in 15 minutes besides be anxious because since they have no sense of time about when you're going to make a move?
But this is your free time, so go enjoy it. This is your free time, go enjoy it. And then what comes up to me, super nerd, is now you have teachers who complain about that false dichotomy of learning and play and playing and learning, actually are now doing it in their classroom. This is your break time from work. Go play, go have fun, but do it the way that I want to do it. Because when you're done, then we got to get back to business. That play as a break time, but I'm still going to micromanage it.
I know, and I feel so bad.
So hard. You're making it so hard.
It's so hard. Don't make your job so hard.
So step in the art area, observe their free play activities and what their choices during free play, and then expanding the amount of time for that free play. That right there, that's a nice little starting
baby
spot?
step. It's
Baby
the baby steps to get you there. And I mean, the goal should be, I hope people are listening. Because the goal should be, if we want children to develop agency and you want to feel like you have more agency in the classroom, the goal should be whatever time slot you currently have where you are not telling children where to go, what to do, and how long to stay there. You need to expand it by 15 minutes every day or once a week, so that by the time you have given them these incremental increases and you're feeling comfortable, they should have an hour and a half of free play in addition to the morning welcoming time, the 6:30 to 8:30 or whatever your morning welcoming time is. That hour and a half of free play plus an hour outside, morning and afternoon, should be the minimum you do. so so be thinking about how you can increase your comfort level with children's ability to initiate their own play. And just it's amazing what you observe. It's truly amazing. And you can do all those anecdotal or running records and be able to complete those assessment checklists if you've got them, if you just do observations. That's all you need. And you don't wait till 2 weeks before parent teacher conferences. You do them every day, every day, every day. So don't make your job so hard. All right, Ellen, we're going to have to close you out, but that was wonderful.
Thank
And
you.
this is a book. So be thinking about this, writing this, or write it for the white paper, which would also be great on using the title of this Porch Play Chat in helping children develop agency. I think that's a fabulous article to write. All right, so I'm going to close this out. Don't go anywhere. To learn more about
I
IPA
love being with
USA,
you guys. This is like my favorite thing.
Oh, thanks, Ellen.
and we
like
love
being
being with
here.
you. So to learn more,
Yay!
to learn more about IPA USA, please visit our website at ipausa.org. And until next time, keep on playing.
Bye-bye.